This tutorial is about archiving. It's combining the consolidation and the duplication of media. So first we're going to consolidate the media and then combine all of the projects that we have within a project folder, this one here, so that we only have one project to duplicate and hence only one project to archive to the archive disk shown here. If you look in the timeline, you will see that there are 3 projects contained in the one folder. These 3 projects are going to be combined into one so that we can archive one project to the archive disk. If we didn't combine these 3 projects into one, then when they were individually archived, there would be individual events set up which would be duplicates of each other. So the first process is to combine these 3 projects into one, and then we will delete the old projects, the ones that you see here in front of you. Then we would consolidate the one project and delete the others. So what we have done here is we've selected one of the projects. We're going to select all of the content of that project by pressing the Command A or going to the Edit menu and selecting all. And then we're going to copy those clips that we have selected and paste them into the main project. So we need to copy these clips by using the Command C key. Then we will go to the main project by using the little arrow here on the left, and we will go to the end of this project by pressing the End key on the keyboard, and you'll see here that we're at the last clip. What would be nice here would be to add a slug or a blank clip so that there's a space between the different parts of the project. I have a slug in my utilities section in my generators, and simply dragging that in there, then we have a blank. If you don't have a slug, you could go to any clip in the event library and drag that in. Then by right-clicking on the clip, we can disable it, which effectively makes it invisible and gives it the effect of a slug so that you can't see anything there. It's a gap in the process. The next step is to paste the clips that we currently have copied on the clipboard into this location where the red marker is showing now. We can do this with Command V or go to the Edit menu and select Paste. At this stage, 2 projects are added together, and I suggest that you check that they are both there and check that the slug or the blank clip is in between them if you have put that in there. You should do this by selecting the Shift-Z key, which brings you to a fit in window view so that you can see all of your project in that one window. And here we're seeing that all of the clips are in the project now, and we're looking here at the blank area where we put that slug, and you'll just see that there now. There's the slug and the blank clip that we put in. Now if we go back to our project library, we can see that there is also a title project that would be nice to add to the group of 3 projects, and we could do the same process with that clip by selecting it, opening it in the timeline. Then we can follow the same process as the first time. We can select all by using the Command A key or going to the Edit menu and selecting Select All. We can copy that by Command C, and then by going back to this arrow here, we can select the full wedding and make sure we go to the end of this clip by pressing the End key, or we should put in perhaps a blank clip as we did before, and to make sure that that goes to the end, we could append the blank clip with the E key or the append function in the menu bar. We can now right-click on that blank clip, disable it so that we can see through it and it's seen as a slug. We should then paste the contents of the clipboard, and that will put the title at the end. After the update 10.0.6, Final Cut allows you to export or use the share menu, and you can export portions of a total project and not just the whole project. So by using the range tool, which is selected here, or you can use the R key, you can select a range of the project by clicking and dragging, and the yellow markers there represent the range. You can then go and share this, and we are only sharing about 40 or 50 seconds out of the total of an hour and 40 seconds, so that when we do this share now, we will find just the 46 seconds, and you can see the range symbol showing there now. We should return our tool now to the A tool, or the normal action tool. This is a good habit to have so that you always know where your tool is. Our next step is to delete the two projects that we have duplicated or added to the original main project, because they're no longer needed. So by right-clicking to the left of the project symbol or to the right of the project lettering, we can select Move to Trash. The three projects are now in one, and that now it is time for us to consolidate. So by right-clicking on the clip, we will be able to select the Consolidate project media, and in this case what has happened is that there is nothing to be consolidated. So we get this message here, and you need to go no further than this. To show you the process of consolidation where it is needed, we will go to this particular project here, and we will right-click on the main clip and find, well, after we've asked it to consolidate, that there are some choices here. We can either copy the referenced events, and then this main event will have all of the event clips. The other events will still have their own events clips in them. We can move the reference events, but be careful of this, because it means that if they are moved, they will be no longer in the previous event, and any projects that are attached to that and rely on that event will lose reference to those clips. And the final option allows us to copy all the used clips into a new event. Now this will mean that that new event will have all clips referenced to this project. Because we're archiving, we in fact only need to copy the referenced events, if there are any other referenced events, into our event that we're working with here. The next step is to duplicate this combined project and send it to the archived hard disk. By right-clicking in the project library, we get the drop-down menu allowing us to duplicate. In this menu, we can change the name, we can direct it to the archive disk, and in this case that archive disk will be the 3rd terabyte disk, and that is where we're going to archive our project to. We can now look at duplicating the project only. This will duplicate the project only to the selected location. It will not change the referenced events. The second choice will duplicate the project and the referenced events and send both of those to the selected location. The third choice duplicates the projects and only the clips that were used in that project. It will take them and put them into a new event at the new location. It will take all of the clips from all of the different events and put them into the new location. By selecting the All Clips button here, we will send all of the clips that had been used to the new location. You could also use the multicam and compound clip selection, and then only the multicam and compound clips would be sent. But in our case, we're going to use the all clips, which will send all of the clips, including the multicam and compound clips. By default, this will open up a new event, and we can select the name of that event here. The actual transfer between the two hard disks will take quite some considerable time, dependent on the speed of the disks and also dependent on the size of the project. But what does happen immediately is that you get a thumbnail directly both in the timeline and in the event area. The transfer will happen in the background, and you'll be able to see the processing by clicking on the background tasks button, and you will be able to see in the media management area, we can see here that in the short time very little has happened. It's showing 0%, and for this particular clip, which is an hour and a half or longer, it will probably take about 3 hours to transfer that footage. But remembering this is over USB 2, if you should have faster hard disks, then this process will be considerably faster. You'll be able to scrub through the project in the project library. You'll also be able to open the project to make edit changes. And if we press Shift Z here, you'll be able to see that full project. In the timeline, we'll see that there are the 3 projects combined as they were in the original combined clip on the previous hard disk. If you look in the event area, you'll be able to see the new event on the 3 terabyte disk, and you'll also see below that there is still the event showing from the main edit hard disk. We can now delete the footage off the main edit hard disk to free up the space, and also to have the footage now archived to the 3 terabyte disk. For this archiving process to work, it's very important that you have your import preferences set up to copy files to the event folder. So make sure you have these settings here where you're copying files to the Final Cut Events folder, and then when the consolidation and the duplication takes place, you will have all of your clips consolidated and duplicated to the archived hard disk. If we look at the Media Manager again now, we can see that it has processed very little in the time that we have been looking at this tutorial, which only emphasizes that there will be a considerable amount of time before the actual transfer happens between the hard disks in the background. When that's completed, I'll come back and show you the rest of the process. Now that the archiving has moved from the editing hard disk to the archiving hard disk, we need to check that it works correctly from the archiving disk before we remove the project and the events from the editing hard disk. But first of all, what I'm going to do is to have a look in the Finder to see what difference in size there is between the 2 folders, because if you recall, we used the process where we selected used clips only, so in theory there should be some saving of hard disk space for the clips that were not used in the project. So we'll go to the Finder here, and we're looking for the main edit hard disk, and we're looking for the Final Cut events on that hard disk, and there they are there. This is the folder that is the original on the editing hard disk, And in the events folder, if we do a check on that, we will see that the size of that is 245 gigabytes. If we now go to the archive hard disk and look in the events folder, there's the archive. If I check on that one now, we'll see that that's 232. So there's 13 odd gigabytes saved. Not a lot comparatively in this case, but obviously some has been saved, so it does prove the process. So now moving back to Final Cut. In the Final Cut interface, we need to close Final Cut, and what we're going to do is to disable the footage that's on the main edit hard disk. That's here in the project and here in the event. And then open up Final Cut again with only the event showing from the archive disk, only the project showing from the archive disk. So we will quit Final Cut. And if you've got Event Manager, this makes life a lot easier for you, because we can simply go here now and say there's the main edit hard disk. We can turn off the event, we can turn off the project, and open Final Cut again by clicking Move Events and Projects. If you don't have Event Manager, then what you can do is to come to a Finder window, and if we look in the Finder window here, we can see that on the edit hard disk there's Final Cut Events, and there is the event folder. We can simply move that to the hidden folder, or if you don't have a hidden folder already, you can create a hidden folder. Just simply call it Final Cut Events -hidden, and if while you're there you should do a Final Cut Projects -hidden, because we're going to look in the projects folder, and there is the project. We're going to move that from the main projects folder to the hidden folder. There it is in the hidden folder amongst others. That's the project. Here's the events in the hidden folder amongst others. Now if we'll actually go back to Event Manager and refresh that, we can see that in fact the main edit hard disk is showing that the event is not loaded and that the project is not loaded. So we can open Final Cut now by either clicking Final Cut here, or if you're using a project manager, click the Move Events and Projects, and Final Cut will open. Now it's opened up with only the project showing in the archive disk and no project showing on the main edit disk. And if we look up here in the event library, there's only the event showing in the archive disk. No events are showing in the main edit hard disk. What we need to do now is two things. First of all, we're looking for any symbols that may be next to the event library here, and this would be the yellow triangle symbol. The yellow triangle symbol indicates that there are missing clips in the event library. Since there is no yellow triangle there, this is telling us that as far as Final Cut is concerned, there is nothing missing. If we look in the project library, and if there was a triangle in this position here, which would be larger than the triangle that you're seeing there at the moment, that would be indicating that there are project clips missing. The triangle, incidentally, that is showing here next to the sound symbol there is simply indicating that there have been changes made since the last save. So that will always be there after you have saved and made changes. So that never changes. What you're actually looking for, just to repeat, is a larger triangle, which would be showing underneath here in the same grey, indicating that clips are missing. To be absolutely sure, what we should do now is select the project in the project library, and double click that project to open it in the timeline, and we could scrub through the clip to check. So I'm comfortable now that all of the footage has been archived and that the project is in full working order. So now we can go and remove the clips from the event library on the edit hard disk and from the projects on the edit hard disk. To do that, we're going to quit Final Cut. We could simply again open the old project by using the event manager, or we could go into the Final Cut events folder on the edit hard disk, and we would move this clip to the trash, and we do the same with the project, moving that to the trash. So that's one way of clearing it, that's manually via the Finder. We could, if we wanted to, have Final Cut trash the files for us within the Final Cut interface. In the Final Cut project library, we're looking for the project that is on the main hard disk. This is the one we're going to trash. We would right click here and move to trash. We then move up into the events library and right click next to the project and move to trash. Now, this is going to give us a warning here. This is no problem. This is simply saying, reminding us that once we've trashed these, the clips are gone. But remember that we have them archived in the archive area here. So now when we check on our edit hard disk, it will have some 240 gigabytes space saved because we've archived. Thank you for watching.